joining me for My Doll's House Diary episode 11. Now, I haven't uploaded any videos since the end of August, and I haven't actually recorded a My Doll's House Diary since the end of May, and I had to look that up because I couldn't remember when it was, and I can't believe it's that long ago. But the reason for that is because I've been working on book 5, as you probably know, Build a Garden Shed in 1/12 scale, and I'm delighted to announce that the book has now been released. It was released yesterday, the 22nd of September, and is now available to purchase from Amazon. Now, I've ordered my copy, which hopefully will be here in a couple of days, and as soon as that arrives I'll do a little video review of the book so you can see what's included. As well as the shed, there's 19 other projects, some furniture, some miniatures, so that you can create a potting shed. Now, when I announced the release of the book on Facebook and Instagram, a lot of people were saying that they'd just ordered their copy. So if you have already ordered, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot because it means I can keep doing what I enjoy doing. Now, the book actually took me 5 weeks to edit in the end, so it was almost a year in actually creating the content for the book, and then 5 weeks of just sitting at the computer for almost 8 hours a day of just editing, so editing all the photographs and typesetting and putting it all together. And as much as I sort of enjoy doing that, I really couldn't wait to get back to My Doll's House. And what I'm going to do is try to bring you a Doll's House Diary episode every day or every other day. And it's not actually the recording that takes the time, it's the editing and uploading. So I'll see how it goes, but my plan is to try and do something every day. And what I'm actually going to start with today is removing the wallpaper, so stripping all the walls back to the bare wood. I mentioned this on Facebook, probably back in May as well, and I asked for any tips and advice on the best ways of removing wallpaper, and loads of you gave me some great tips, and I'm going to try some of those today. And I'm actually going to start, just so that we've got something to compare the other techniques with, I'm going to start with the old-fashioned technique of warm water and a wallpaper scraper. So let's get started. So I'm going to start here in the bedroom, and I've got some washi tape here, or washi tape, not sure how it's pronounced, and I'm just going to cover up the electrical sockets, one there and one there, just so that I don't spray any water in them. Now, the lighting isn't plugged in, but obviously I don't want to get water into those sockets. I'll just put a couple of pieces over. And then I've been trying not to touch any of the wallpaper because I wanted to save it, obviously, for these videos. But every so often I have just walked past and just picked off anything that looks loose. And I just noticed there that there is a bit of sealing paper that might just come off. Now, you might not be strange like me and really enjoy pulling off wallpaper, but if you do, just sort of start by pulling off what you can. Now, most of it is all these horrible little bits that aren't going to come off easily at all, but if you do have any good sort of strips, just pull it off. And I'm actually going to stop there because it will just end up me just trying to pull it all off by hand. Now, where I also took a segment off of the copper wire to come down here to feed into the fireplace, there's a couple of joins up there, so I'm also going to cover those up with a little bit of tape, just to be on the safe side. So have a think about that if you've got sort of electrical tape or indeed wire in your doll's house. So you could just have a bowl of warm water and a sponge to apply it to the walls, but I'm going to make it easier and use this spray bottle. Now, that's been cleaned out thoroughly, and also the spray, just by sort of squirting the clear water through that until it came out clear. And I've got my scraper here as well. So let's just start by spraying that on to that side panel. Just checking that you can see me properly there. I'm putting plenty on. I want it to sort of really soak in. And I just realised that I had wanted to clear the kitchen out first before I started, but never mind, I'll do that in a moment. And so there you can see, this is in real time, so that only soaked in for a few seconds. And that is coming off fairly easily. Now it's leaving a bit of the glue residue behind there, which we don't want, because if possible I want to get these walls completely clear. But I'm not using much pressure there. And I used this technique on my 1/12 scale shop. Let me just show you inside there. And all of this top and the bottom area was covered in paper, and these little sort of hallways at the side. And it sounds awful, but it really smelt. Now, I don't know what it is, whether it's the glue when it dries out and gets old that begins to smell, but it was absolutely awful. And my uncle actually rescued it for me from a skip, so I'm sure that didn't help the old aroma situation. But I can tell you that once I had removed the paper and the residue, the smell did go. Now I know I've sort of read a lot of comments on Facebook and in groups and things about asking how to get rid of the smell, and lots of people have suggested different sort of mixtures, but I did actually find just warm water and scraping off the wallpaper did work. Once it's all gone, the smell will go. And I think also the little carpets that people stick in can also hold the smells. So I'm sure the same will apply, that once you've actually ripped out the carpet and got rid of the glue residue, you should find that the smell will go. Anyway, let's get back to removing the wallpaper. So, not too bad. I'm just having a look what you can see on camera, but you can still see that sort of layer. But even rubbing it with my finger, look, that's coming off, and that's where the sort of paper backing has stuck to the glue that I used. And I can't remember now which glue I would have used, probably a PVA or tacky glue or something like that. I certainly didn't use wallpaper paste, because I didn't find, or at least the one I tried, which probably wasn't that expensive, I didn't find that it worked very well. So I immediately sort of started using glue. Right, I'm going to do the same. It's actually quite wet there. I'm just going to go and get some kitchen towel. So probably a good idea to have some kitchen towel handy as well, which you probably would have thought of. But I'm always so keen to get started, I never think things through properly. Let's do that. And I was also thinking about, once I've done this, I'll just dry it all out with my hairdryer. Just make sure the walls are all dry. Now I'm going to leave that for now, and I'm going to work my way around, and then I thought I'll come back, put a bit more water on, and we'll have another scrape and see if we can get rid of it. But if I remember rightly, what I did with the shop was scrape this back using sandpaper. Now that did still leave a few little bits, which I don't want in here, because once I've removed the wallpaper, I actually want to treat the walls. And I'm going to do that with some sort of sealer, and maybe apply a primer as well. And that's not because I'm ever thinking of refurbishing the doll's house again. Once I've done it now, it will stay like it. But it's just that I think it will give a better finish, or a better surface rather to apply the wallpaper to, the next lot of wallpaper. I think I'm actually going to mask up that back window before I spray it, so let me just do that. Okay, so I've masked up the window there just with a couple of strips of parcel tape, and I've just done that because I don't want the water trickling through and onto the paper on the outside of the house. And I've just come round a little bit as well, and I wish you could see, I've got the camera tripod sitting on a chair, because it's not tall enough to reach into the bedroom, and I've got the light sellotaped to the back of the same chair, so if everything topples over all of a sudden you'll know what's happened. Right, so let's bring the water back in. Give that a good drenching. I'm just going to put a little bit more down this side. That's been a little bit more stubborn. Hope I'm not getting in your way there. I probably am, aren't I? Not quite as easy as that first strip. Don't know why that would be. Or maybe I used different glue, or I know the oops, this is where the chimney breast was stuck, so whether that's just because it's sort of got a double layer of glue on it, and you can actually see that strip, can't you, how it's a different colour down there. And I'm just getting in there with my nails as well. Right, I'm going to clear some of that rubbish out of there now. And I'm not bothered about the floor getting wet back there, just because I want to soak that card as well to get that off. Put that in the bin. I'll just put another bit of kitchen towel along the front edge here, just to mop up any water. I don't want it dripping over the edge and into the kitchen. Oh, that's a point actually. I'm going to take the furniture out of the kitchen while I remember. Got the dust on that. That's having the doors off. Remember I said to you about maybe putting some tissue paper or something over the openings once I've done a room, just to stop this dust from getting in. Might have to think about doing that now. Okay, so let's move on to that back wall. Plenty in there again. And a couple of people have said about this wallpaper and how nice it is, and I think, if my memory serves me, it was called Blue Sonata, and I think they did a pink Sonata as well, and I don't know if it's still made even. I would have got that obviously sort of 20 years ago when I started the decorating, and I loved it too. I won't try to find it again because I want to use a different paper in here, something a little bit more modern. But if you are after that paper, then look for Blue Sonata. Again, that's coming off fairly easily. I think the trouble here is the actual angle, rather than actually removing the paper. And I'm sure I'm going to be getting in your way here. It's coming off. I'm using a little bit more elbow grease here. Again, that could just be because of the angle I'm working at. It's getting a bit sticky down there, so I'm going to put a bit more water on. And it probably is easier to use a spray if you have one, but do wash it out properly first if it's had some sort of bleach or something like that in. Look at it, it's all soggy, like sort of paper mache. While that floor's nice and wet, I'm just going to have a go at that as well. And this was just cereal packet card that I used as a template for the wooden flooring. Something very satisfying about it though. See, it will come off like this. Okay, let's move round and tackle that final wall. I think because I've sprayed such a large section, it's beginning to dry, so probably do a little section at a time. It's probably easier. I think however you remove wallpaper, it's never going to be a fun job. It's like real life decorating, isn't it? It's the worst bit, I find anyway. Sort of congealing a little bit in the corners. I'll perhaps find a different tool to get in there and scrape those corners out. No, too bad at doing it. I just want absolutely everything removed. I just want it back to the complete bare wood. It's got a nice sort of fresh palette really to start again. A bit more on there. I'll just spray a little bit more onto this side wall. Okay, so we've got just the sort of white glue residue, the paper backing, left there. So I think I'm going to clean out these bits and then I'll have a go at the ceiling and the floor, and then I'll probably go round again and just see if I can get rid of any more of these little bits that are left. I'm sure they'll just come off really easily now. You can even just rub them with your finger and they come off, so I think that'll be quite easy. But let's have a quick tidy up and have a go at the ceiling and the floor. I'm just going to do a bit along that side to start. Ooh, that's not a nice sound. I can see it sort of bubbling up, but it doesn't want to come off. And that's not coming off very easily at all. That's my fault for saying that it was going quite well. Let's just hope. Just wiping that copper tape. Now I didn't apply glue over the copper wire, so that should come off fairly easily along there. And I don't want to be scraping, obviously, at the wires either, or the tape. Slip that back over those holes. not much fun at all. It's not coming off very easily, but it will come off. It's just a question of spending a bit more time on it, I suppose. And this was actually how I thought the walls would go. That's certainly how they went in that shop that I did. But then the glue in the shop was probably a lot older. Just put a bit more water on there. So it is coming off slowly but surely, but it's just a lot more difficult than the walls. Okay, so that's the first sort of go on the ceiling there. Lots of little bits of backing paper left and a really sort of tough patch here, so I'm not sure what happened there, whether I'd used filler or something or just extra glue. And I've cleared out what I can. I'm now going to have a go at the floor. So even as I was sort of scraping away the drop-ins from the ceiling, but that doesn't sound very nice, does it? But the bits that fell from the ceiling, this floor was coming up quite easily. I think just because it's really sort of drenched in water now. So let's see. So the top layer has come away quite easily there. Let's have a go at this. Okay, and just sort of do one section at a time. And it actually feels as though there's a layer of glue over the top of that. I'm not sure that is even actually going to remove, so I'll just get rid of any sort of card that isn't covered in glue. Okay, so that isn't going to come up with warm water and scraping. We're going to have to try and remove the glue. And the next method I actually want to try, somebody suggested, was a hairdryer. And they said it doesn't matter how old the glue is, it will melt it. So when we try that over in the other bedroom, I'll use that technique on this floor as well, if it works, and we'll see if that will melt this top layer of glue and allow me to peel that up. But if not, it doesn't matter too much. It's flat, so it's, you know, I can put another flooring template in there. But we'll see. Okay, so I'll get this tidy. So that's stage one. And I'm now going to have a cup of tea because it's gone 11 o'clock. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to spray it again and see if I can get more of this residue off. Okay, so the tea break's over and I'm going to come back into this room and add a bit more water. But I just had a go again at the ceiling paper without spraying any more water, and that's actually still coming away fairly easily. So I think once the water is soaked in a bit more, that helps. But I'll start again here and work my way around. Into that back corner again. And that stubborn strip, if you remember I said earlier, that has now come off. Okay, so I've been around again now, and I'm really pleased with the result. The ceiling still needs a little bit more work, but I'm getting a bit conscious of the time, and I wanted to get 2 or 3 techniques in today before I wrap up for the day. So I'm going to leave it there for now. But just another little tip, as I was sort of cleaning out the room, I had this old sponge nearby, so I just sort of started wiping the walls down with it. It's dry, and that also takes away a little bit of that sort of backing paper residue that's left, and gives a really nice finish actually. So that's a good little tip as well. When you're wiping down, just use an abrasive sponge, and that will take some of it off as well. But I will have another go at that ceiling. So that's the good old-fashioned warm water with a scraper technique, and a little bit messy, comes off, as you can see, in those sort of little sort of wet lumps like paper mache, but not too bad. That's taken me the morning, but bear in mind I did stop for a cup of tea, and I also at that stage downloaded what I'd filmed so far, and I'm just putting my hand in there for something for you to see, so you know I haven't disappeared. Yeah, so I downloaded what I filmed so far and changed the camera battery, so I haven't been sort of doing it all that long, and I didn't actually start until gone 10, and it's now 12:30, so not too bad at all. Now I want to move over to the, well, I keep calling it the red bedroom, but of course it's not going to be the red bedroom for much longer, but over to the right hand bedroom then, and I want to try that hairdryer technique. So I'll go and get my hairdryer. Okay, so I've got my hairdryer here, and it's quite a powerful one. Now I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, whether you just heat it up and then just pick it off, but we'll see. So the lady did say it doesn't matter how old the glue is, just heat it up and the wallpaper will just peel away. So I'm only going to have it on a low setting because I don't want to cause my hairdryer to blow up or anything. So let's have a go. I'm not sure this is working. I mean, some of the paper is coming away, but I think it would anyway. I don't think the glue is actually melting. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know how long am I supposed to heat it up for? How long would it take to melt 20-year-old glue? I mean, this is coming away, but is that because I've heated it up, or would it come away like that anyway? I don't know if this is going to be a long-winded process or make it any easier, and it's still not pulling off that paper backing. I'll keep going. I'll try for a little bit longer. One thing though I'm realising is that as I'm peeling the paper off with the hairdryer on, it's just blowing all over the room. So let me just try and clear a little bit away. Right, I'm going to take this nozzle bit off. Oh, that's quite hot. I sort of left that on because I thought it would direct the heat into one area a bit more, and I'm going to go up a setting. So I'm now on sort of number 2, and that is quite hot. But let's give it another go. Okay, this doesn't seem to be working. I brought the scraper in to see if that helps, but there's just nowhere to get hold of it. I haven't really got any picky bits, and where it's kind of coming off on the ceiling, it's still leaving the backing paper, and I was hoping, you know, that it would completely melt the glue and then peel the whole thing off, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. I'm probably doing something wrong. I don't know. If you've used this heat technique, let me know what I'm doing wrong. Also, where you're holding the dryer in one place, when you put your hands in there, it is quite hot, quite uncomfortable. So I'm going to give this one a miss, and we'll move on to something else. Okay, so the next suggestion was glass cleaning spray. So I've got here just this inexpensive own make Tesco's window and glass cleaning spray, and the idea is that you spray it on, leave it for a little while, and then come back and it all should peel off easily. So let's give that a go. So I'll just try on this one wall to start with. That still feels warm actually. So let's spray this on. And I'm hoping if this works well, that I can then go back, go back and try that on the first bedroom ceiling. So actually that doesn't smell very nice, so I'm just going to blot it up on the floor there so it doesn't run over the edge. I'm going to go and open the window, get a bit of ventilation in. Okay, so let's have a time check. So that's 12:47. Let's just leave that for a few minutes and then we'll come back and have a go at scraping that away. Okay, so that's been 4 minutes and I just went and put the kettle on. You might be able to hear it boiling away in the background. So let's have a look. Looking good. That is certainly coming away easier than with just the warm water. And in sort of bigger chunks as well, so you're not getting all those little bits. I mean, that's completely clearing the wood up there. I'm really impressed with this one. Yeah, I think this one is a hit. And that, I can just tell just from doing that first little bit, that is going to be so much quicker than the first room. Now it's actually starting to dry off a little bit, so I'm just wondering if it does need to be left, or if you could just kind of squirt and then start removing it. So we'll try that as well. But while it's coming off nice and easy like this, I'll just keep going, and I think that is a really good way of doing it. And this bottle as well, this own make, keep doing that, was less than £1, probably 80p, something like that. So, you know, if you just bought a bottle of that just for your doll's house wallpaper removal, it wouldn't break the bank. Okay, so where that's drying out, that's getting a little bit more difficult to scrape off, but I am very impressed with that. We've still got some of the paper backing left on the wall, but I think probably just a bit more scraping would get rid of that. So, yeah, very impressed with that. Let's just spray a little bit more on and then remove straight away. I don't know if the actual thing is that it does need to soak in for a bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think if you let it soak in for those couple of minutes, it comes away in bigger bits. But just by sort of doing it when it's still wet, you get more of those smaller bits. But I think it's removing the paper better actually. So I might just sort of spray it on and then work my way around. And then the test, of course, will be when we move on to the ceiling and see if that's any easier than with the warm water, but judging by this, I think it will be. I'm really pleased with that because I didn't want this to take, you know, sort of 3 or 4 days to do. But I will still try a couple of other techniques, and somebody has suggested Dawn dishwasher soap, and I don't think we have Dawn here in the UK. I'm not sure, I've never seen it. So I'll just use, again, a Tesco's washing up liquid mixed in with the warm water in the spray bottle, and we'll try that. But I think so far this one is winning. Okay, so it's now lunchtime, so I'm going to go and get a bite to eat, and I'll see you again in half an hour. Okay, so let's move around to the other side. And just while I let that soak in, I realised I didn't put the little bit of tape over the holes, so I'll do that now. Piece there, piece up on the ceiling as well. Okay, what do I do with the scraper? There it is. So I suppose this doesn't look too much different from removing the paper just using the warm water and spray, having just watched back some of the videos at lunchtime. But I can tell you it is a lot easier. It's just coming off so much easier, and taking more of the paper off, you know, in one go. It's coming off in bigger bits. So out of the two, this is definitely easier. And people had also suggested mixing vinegar in with warm water, and I think this actually contains vinegar. Yeah, it says here, formulated with vinegar to dissolve grease, grime, dirt and smudge marks. It does also say on there not to breathe it in. And it does smell quite strong, so always have a window open. Okay, so I'm going to get into that corner now, because it's a bit of a funny angle, so I can't get in there with the camera. So I'll remove the corner in the back wall, and then we'll have a go at that ceiling and see if that's any easier with this method. Now, since having used the spray for the side wall and back wall, I'm actually going to say I don't recommend using a window and glass cleaner, because the smell is absolutely awful, and it does warn you on the back there not to breathe it in, and it's really got into the back of my throat. I've now opened the back door as well just to get a bit more air in here, but using this in a confined space like this is not a good idea. So I would not recommend this method at all. Maybe if you made up your own using the water and vinegar, that would be a lot safer, but I do certainly not recommend using this in your doll's house. Now I've sprayed it up onto the ceiling, and I'm just going to try and not get too close in there. I'm just sort of going to try and do it at arm's length, but where I was kind of leaning right in to get to the back wall, then I was having trouble actually catching my breath, so I don't recommend this one at all, even though it does remove the paper better than the water, but I'd say it's better to be on the safe side. I'm actually now just hoping that the washing up liquid mixture will work as efficiently as this, because I really don't want to use that again. I'm just going to peel that bit away because that was over the copper wire that's coming in from the back, the join at the back on the outside of the house. So I didn't apply glue over that. So I've now got the window in here open and the back door, which is just along a little hallway, and I can still smell this. It's still quite overpowering. And I probably haven't sprayed as much on, just because of that reason, but this isn't coming off as well either on the ceiling, so maybe I've used a different type of glue up here. Right, so what I'm actually going to do is put this glass cleaner back in the cupboard, and I'm going to go back to the warm water to finish off the ceiling. So that's all the main paper off the walls in this room, and there's still a lot left on the ceiling, as you can see, but I'm going to give this washing up liquid with warm water a go over in the living room, and we'll see how that goes, and then I'll come back up here and hopefully use that technique if it's successful. Okay, so for this one I've just put a few squirts of an own brand washing up liquid into my warm water and given it a bit of a shake, and I'm going to spray it on and then leave it for a couple of minutes and hope that it works as efficiently as the glass cleaner. And that does seem to be working really well. Which is good, and no horrible odour. In fact, I'd probably say that seems to be working better than the glass cleaner, because it seems to be taking more of the backing paper with it as well. Yeah, I mean, certainly out of the techniques we've tried today, this is by far the best technique. So I'm going to finish off this room, and there wasn't actually a lot of paper left. If I just bring you round to look at the whole room, I actually managed to pick off quite a bit when I was sort of taking all the mouldings and everything off. So there isn't that much left, especially on that left-hand wall there. But there is a bit of ceiling paper up there. So I'll finish this room. Okay, so that's as far as I've got with the living room. So still quite a bit of the paper backing left on the wall. Although I must admit, looking at it through the camera here, it does look a lot worse than it actually is. I think the camera's really highlighting the white there. It's still a bit damp, so some of the floor is peeling off. But I'm going to leave it here for today so that I've actually got a chance of editing and uploading the video this evening. And then I'll continue with the wallpaper removal tomorrow. So we've got the entrance hall and landings to do, the study and the dining room, and then a couple of rooms up in the attic section there. And I'll use that washing up liquid or dish soap with the warm water again, which I felt by far was the best technique. But I think whatever technique you use, it isn't a very nice job. It's tedious, it's time consuming, and where I said this morning that I wanted to get it completely back to bare wood, I'm not sure now if that's going to be possible. I did think it would be a lot easier to remove the wallpaper, and certainly with the 12th scale shop it did seem a lot easier, but thinking about it I was able to sort of lay that down on my worktop and really sort of get in there with the scraper. So I think that's probably why. It's more that it's more difficult to get at because of the angles. But anyway, I'll get it as good as I can tomorrow, and then I'll do a bit of sanding back like I did with the shop as well, to just get rid of as much of that paper backing as I possibly can. And then we'll see about using some sort of primer and see if we can smooth the walls out that way before we repaper. But once this part of it is done, I can start planning for the other rooms, but then I want to get back to the kitchen, continuing with the furniture, and then of course the miniatures, which is the exciting bit. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode and that you found it helpful as well, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye!